Okay, let's dissect the equation. First, you have 45W. That means multiplication, and multiplication means per, each, every, or like a, or individual. And that means you're going to multiply per item, per each thing, every day, or a person. So you're going to multiply when it comes to 45. So look, there's that 45 each. This one says 123 each. That is not being multiplied. This one says, again, 123 each. It's not being multiplied. And 123 each, not being multiplied. So the answer is A. Another clue is, be careful, this is your total. And her ancestor does not have two of them. Okay, when you were little, you did what was natural to you, and that was the natural numbers. That is letter D. Okay, then you said, hey, the teacher said, don't forget the 0. And you started counting 0, 1, 2, 3, and that is your whole numbers. Then you came in and you said, okay, don't forget, your numbers don't just go to the right. They also go for infinity to the left. And that is your integers, positive and negatives. Now, those are still whole numbers. It's not positive and negative fractions. So that means we still have to include all the fractions, decimals. And so that is your rational numbers. Okay, your irrational numbers, of course, will be separate over here. For these, you could come up with an acronym. It says, how you can remember is NATS, in the whole wide natural world. Okay, first let's interpret the model. First, you have 2x and 2 positives equal to 1x. You do not have to write the 1, and 4 positives. Now we just have to see what we could take off of both sides. I can eliminate 1x off of both sides, so I write minus x minus x. I then get x left over plus those 2 positives equals the 4 positives still over there. Now I could take off 2 positives from both sides, minus 2 minus 2, and what I get left over is x equals 2. Now before you move on, you should check it. If you tell me x is worth 2, this is worth 2, 2, 1, and 1. That's a total of 6 on this side. This is worth 2, 1, 1, 1, and 1. That's a total of 6 on that side. So since they come out even, it is balanced. You know x equals 2 is correct. Okay, number 4, minus 2 minus 2. That gets you negative 4x equals, this comes out to 20 over here. Now you divide off that negative 4, divide off negative 4. That gets you x equals now a negative 5. Now on the other side, I hope you recognized that this is an inequality, not an equation. So you do have to use that greater than symbol. Now you also need to recognize right away that this, which is multiplied by my y, is a positive number, so it's going to stay greater than symbol the whole way. You do not flip it. So first, let's add 2 to both sides to get rid of that minus 2. Now you get 3/5 x is greater than 15 because you solved that side. Now you have to flip or do the reciprocal of that fraction and write it on both sides. Now when you solve that, you have x is left over here because this multiplies out to 1. Greater than, you multiply 15 times 5 and divide it by 3 and you get a 25. So x is greater than 25. All right, again, an inequality. And attached to my x being multiplied is a negative. So that means that inequality will end up as a greater than or equal to instead of a less than or equal to, because that is a negative 7. I will be dividing by a negative number. So let's start by solving, getting away from that zombie. So minus 39 minus 39 over on this side. That now gets you a negative 49, which is still less than or equal to, and you copy that negative 7x because I haven't touched that yet. Then I need to divide off negative 7, circle this on the way by because I'm dividing a negative 7. It was a positive 7, I would not, but since it's a negative 7, I do. So then I solve this. Two negatives make a positive. That is 7 is greater than or equal to, and you have an x over here. Okay, what you need to realize if you're graphing or have an ABCD answer option, you might have to turn this around. So you need to recognize this as the same as x is less than or equal to 7. The munchie eats the 7, the munchie has to turn and still meet the 7 when you flip them. So this interprets as x is less than or equal to a positive 7. Okay, now number 7. You're going to know that this is an equation, not an equality, so we don't have to worry about flipping signs. Okay, now you do realize that the zombie is on the right hand side, so let's run away from the zombie. Plus 5, plus 5. This then interprets that is a negative 8 equals 1/2 x. Now in order to get rid of that 1/2, we have to multiply it by 2 over 1, 2 over 1. What we then get is 2 times negative 8, which is negative 16. I don't need to worry about dividing by 1, and you get x. So that's the same as x equals negative 16. Go ahead and write your own equation from this word problem. So you get $25 per hour, and then you write $25 per hour. Remember that letter and number next to each other to involve multiplication. Then you see, hey, this says plus 150. So then you get plus 150. Okay, then it says is, which is very important. It says is 300, a total. So then you go back and you said is 300, your total. Now go ahead and interpret and find your multiple choice that matches that. You know all three numbers are positive. So if you look at A, that's negative. If you look at C, that's negative, and you look at D, that's a negative. So your final answer is B, boy. All right, order from least to greatest. So that means from negatives to positives. So go ahead and separate those negatives. And negative 3/5 versus a negative 0.263 is on this side. And then the positives, 75%, 2/3, 0.68, and 32%. Now you could change them all to decimals or percents, but please get them out of fractions. Okay, before you begin, you must know that this is your 0. Your positives must grow out this way. Your negatives get smaller this way, meaning larger digits that way. Now you should have this one memorized. This one is 0.6, and you could put a 0 on there. And this is 0.263. 75% is 0.75. 2/3 is 0.66. You have 0.68 already, and this is 0.32. So again, this is where that memorized list comes in. Now we go back and we just put them in order. This is owing 60 cents. This is owing 26 cents. So that is a good order. It's getting worse on to better before it hits that 0. Okay, now I'm going least to greatest on this side, so the smallest digit on up. So I get the 32, then the 66, then the 68, then the 75. You're not done until you put them back in their original form. So 0.60 was originally 3/5. The 0.63 was a negative 0.263. The 0.32 was a 32%. 0.66 was a 2/3. 0.68 was just that, 0.68. And of course the 0.75 was 75%. And that would be in order from least to greatest because they're growing out positives and growing out towards the negatives, just like your number lines on your last test.